Ladies and gentlemen, the unthinkable has happened. War Within tuning class changes are now in. I repeat, the first official tuning class notes are in. Let's see who the biggest winner is. Let's see who the biggest loser is. We got the notes right here. We're going to check it out. All right, here we go. Let's do it. War Within class tuning incoming September 3rd. We regularly make combat design adjustments based off gameplay data and feedback from players on class performance. With scheduled weekly maintenance in each region, we'll make the following changes to classes that are over and underperforming in various areas. Classes: Death Knight, Frost. Frost-like damage reduced, does not apply to PvP. Obliterate damage reduced, does not apply to PvP. Icy Death Torrent damage reduced by 10%. Glacial Advance damage reduced by 10%. Does not apply to PvP. So a little bit of PvE nerfs for Frost DKs. Let's take a look at Balance Druid. Balance, Umbral Intensity. Increases the damage of Wrath by 20, 40%. Was 25, 20. One sec. These guys are being loud. Please leave me alone. All right, so Umbral Intensity got some changes. Star Surge damage is increased. Star Fall damage is increased. Harmony of the Heavens increases Eclipse power by 2% per proc. Max 6 was 1, max 5. Okay. Blood Talons and Lion Strengths now increases the damage of Rampant Ferocity for Feral. Evoker. Damage of all spells and abilities increased by 6%. Okay. Devastation looking good. Firestorm damage increased. Firestorm damage reduced. Duration. Sorry, Firestorm damage is increased and the duration is reduced. And Engulf damage got buffed. Hunter. Vicious Hunt damage increased by 10% for Beast Mastery. Vicious Hunt damage decreased by 10% for Survival. Howling of the Pack critical strike damage bonus increased to 5% for Beast Mastery. Howling of the Pack critical strike damage bonus increased to 11% for Survival. Was 7. Furious Assault damage bonus increased to 60% for Survival. Cull the Herd damage over time increased to 60% for Survival. Okay, so some Hunter changes. Mages, here we go. Let's see what Mages got. Living Bomb damage increased by 30%. So for PvP, this is absolutely trivial. It does nothing. Living Bomb, ladies and gentlemen, is now at the point where it does 0 damage. So 30% buff on 0 damage is still 0. Pyroblast damage increased by 5%. This is absolutely meaningless as well. I'm just being blunt, 100% blunt. This is a absolutely meaningless buff for PvP. Pyroblast does 300k damage, and it got buffed by 5%. So, just to tell you. Flame Strike damage increased, useless as well. So, we don't like the fire changes. Frostfire Bolt damage increased by 25% for fire. That's kind of nice. Sun Fury Burden of Power can no longer be double dipped by spell queuing. That's not good. Arcane Phoenix damage dealt reduced by 10% for Arcane. Unfortunate. Arcane Soul base duration reduced to 2 seconds was 3. Okay, so some Sun Fury nerfs. Let's keep going. The fire changes are completely useless, by the way. Just so you guys know, I'm not being negative, I'm just being honest. So we'll see if there's any PvP specific changes. Rep Paladin. Mastery High Lord's Judgment reduced by 10%. For example, at level 80, 180 at level 80, 180 mastery rating now grants 1.35% mastery. All holy spell damage increased by 5%. Okay. So they nerfed mastery? How was Judgment reduced by 10%? For example, level 80, 180. Okay, so they nerfed Ret's mastery. But then they buffed all holy spell damage. Interesting. Discipline Priest. Oracle Discipline Priest preventative measures now increases power with shield absorption by 40%. Does not apply to PvP. Atonement Healing increased by 100% outside of raid. Does not apply to PvP. So no buffs for you. Except Shadow Word, Pain, and Purge the Wicked damage increased by 20%. That is going in. So Priest Dots are going to hit a bit harder. Void Weaver, Shadow Priest, Void Blast damage increased by 20%. The buff Void Weaver. Shaman, Mastery Elemental Overloads bonus to all elemental and physical damage increased by 35%. All damage reduced by 6%. Unfortunate. Tempest now deals 65% of its damage to enemies near its primary target was 50. Tempest now deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. Enhancement, all damage reduced. So Enhancement Shaman got 4% damage nerf. Elemental Blast damage increased by 12%. Stormbringer. Tempest now deals 65% of its damage to enemies near its primary target. There might be PvP changes. It's not over yet, guys. Tempest now deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. Tremor Totem damage increased by 10%. Searing Volley damage increased by 80%. Destro, all ability damage increased. So Destro Warlock's got a 5% overall damage buff. Now here comes the meat and potatoes, ladies and gentlemen. This is the PvP changes. All of this was PvE. Okay, this is all PvE changes. So let's see what happens in PvP. Let's see. Oh, I'm already disappointed. Ooh, just looking at these right off the rip. Ooh. Ooh. All right. Rip damage increased by 15% in PvP combat. Rake damage increased by 15% in PvP combat. Okay. Lunar Calling now increases Starfire damage by 50% in PvP combat. Was 65. Umbral Embrace now increases damage of Wrath and Starfire by 40%. Was 75. Okay. Feral. Taste for blood damage. So I think they nerfed the Starfire build, right? These are Starfire nerfs. Feral. Taste for blood's damage increased to Ferocious Bite during Tiger's List is decreased by 50% in PvP combat. Oof. Saber Jaws effectively now reduced by 50% in PvP combat. Oof. Look at this one. Mage. Iceland's damage increased by 45% in PvP combat was 75%. That is giga nerfs. And there's no compensation. That's my biggest worry is like these fat nerfs coming in, the damage isn't being compensated anywhere. So I'm not saying guys that Frost Mages shouldn't be nerfed. They definitely, but I also cannot believe there's no changes to Fire Mage. That's crazy, bro. How? All right, anyways, Monk, Mastery of Harmony. Manifestation is now 50% effective in PvP combat. Okay. Brewmaster. Chi Burst damage reduced by 30% for Brewmaster monks in PvP combat. Okay. Mistweaver. Peaceweaver now reduces the cooldown of Revival by 33%. Wow, they actually nerfed Peaceweaver. Dang. Life Cocoon is now 30% more effective in PvP combat. So they nerfed Peaceweaver and they buffed Life Cocoon. I thought Life Cocoon was already good. To be honest, when I play Monk, I like that people aren't really dying through Life Cocoon, but all right. Enveloping Mist can no longer be dispelled. Whoa! That's pretty big. You can't dispel Enveloping Mist? That's pretty big. Fire Mage got buffs? What are you talking about? Fire Mage got buffs? 5% pyro damage? Bro. That's not a buff. I mean, technically it is a buff, but it's yeah. Anyways, Holy Priest. Prayer Mending healing increased by 65%. That'll be really nice for RBGs, actually, I think. 17% nerf to Ice Lance isn't that bad. That's a lot. That's a big nerf, man. But it's fine. Ice Lance needed to be nerfed. I'm not mad about that. I don't care. Frost Mages definitely needed nerfs. They're OP. But I thought they would like move the damage around a little bit. Yeah, the other spells don't really do any damage. Anyways, Lava Lash damage increased by 60% in PvP combat. Storm Strike and Wind Strike damage increased by 60% in PvP combat. Wind Fury attack damage increased by 60%. These are pretty big, right? Lava Lash damage increased by 60%. Storm Strike and Wind Strike damage increased by 60%. That's fat. Those are fat. Like, that is what I thought Fire Mages would get, honestly. 60% Phoenix Flames damage, 50% Scorch damage, fucking 30% Fire Blast damage, but nope. This is, I'm happy for Enhancement Shamans. Good for them. Thunderous War damage reduced. What? No! no! I like Thunderous Roar. I didn't really think Thunderous Roar was OP. That's weird. That to me, that's a weird change. I wonder why they nerfed that. It's like, it's such a weird spell to nerf because it's a slow ticking bleed. Yeah, but it's like, okay, I don't know. I think that's a weird spell to nerf. Auto attack damage no longer decreased by an additional 12%. So arms auto attacks are higher. Ordnance Fury damage got reduced by 20%. So they nerfed Thunderous Roar for arms and Fury. Odin's Fury got nerfed. So they addressed. Wait a minute, you guys. I think there's something missing from the patch notes. Do you guys? Is there anything we're missing here, or? Like, where's the pres notes? Have you guys seen any preservation evoker notes, or maybe they're down here? Like, where the fuck are they? Yeah, where are the pres notes, guys? There's actually no changes to pres evoker. No changes to fire mage. No changes to pres evoker. Where's my list? These are the outliers that I thought would get changed. Okay, so these are my predictions earlier today. So they addressed Frost. Yes. They addressed Fury. Yes. They addressed Enhancement Shaman. They didn't really do anything at BM, right? So like BM basically got nothing. Fire got nothing. 5% pyro damage is actually nothing, I swear. Like, it's literally irrelevant. Holy Priest got Palm, kinda? Like, I don't know. So the biggest winner in these patch notes is Pres Evoker and Enhancement Shaman, I think. Pres Evoker's staying God tier and Enhanced got buffed. The rest is like, oof. All right, well, it's a first draft, I guess. These changes are coming next week. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Enhancement Shaman might actually bang. Those are big damage buffs. Those are big. Big, 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 big.